Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from Daytona International Speedway. I'm Adam Saul from the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, where tonight we're going to have our 36th induction celebration. It's one of the most contemporary classes in our history. It's the Hall of Fame of all motorsports. If you competed on four wheels, two wheels, flew, or did it in the water, you're welcome in the Hall of Fame. And our guest has done a little bit of that. Could even talk about some powerboat, hydroboat fun moments that have happened here. Jimmie Johnson is our 2024 Stock Cars inductee. He's made two other appearances before inducting other superstars in the Hall of Fame. Ricky Johnson, his mentor, lifelong friend, and teammate in 2012, and then Tony Stewart in 2019. But we knew it'd be only a matter of time before Jimmie would be elected in the Hall of Fame. He was a first-year ballot inductee, no shocker there. And welcome, Jimmie. Talk about it. You've already been here for a day and a half. Talk about how it feels to join all your peers from all walks of motorsports as you get inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. It's just been an incredible day and a half here. The gathering of the motorsports industry that comes here, and the quality time that you have with everyone from two wheels to planes, boats, cars, all types of car racing is incredible. Storytelling, the camaraderie, the respect everyone shows this event by attending and being here, and some just great hang time together is something I remember from two other trips I've made, but to now be here as an inductee makes it all the more special.
Okay, Amanda, if you ask our media guests for questions, we could get started and keep on our busy schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Adam. Okay, we will now go to questions from the media. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll work to get into as many questions as we can. And to kick us off, we're going to go to Bruce Martin. Bruce, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Jimmie, congratulations.
Thank
Back in December, you got to go in with a very good friend of yours, Chad Knaus, into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Tonight, you're going to get to go in with a guy you get to spend a couple of years with in IndyCar with Scott Dixon. So in a lot of ways, how cool is that? And not only how deserving you are of getting in, but just describe how deserving Scott Dixon is, because he's still pretty fast.
No, he's very fast. It just makes it more special. I mean, this honor is significant on its own, and then to be going in with someone that I've had so much respect for over the years, and certainly in the last 4 or 5 years, someone that has truly become a very close friend. We live maybe 45 minutes apart now in England, and I've spent a fair amount of time with him over the off season. And, just his family, the way our families have combined in the respect and friendship that we have, it's just very, very special. Dario is also here. Dario's going to introduce him, and certainly know the history I have with Dario and his family. So it's great. And then Rick Johnson is here. He's been my lifelong mentor, friend, teammate, and just the gathering is just quite special.
You were a shoe-in to get in as a NASCAR driver alone with 7 championships, but how important was it for you to experience other forms of racing to get an appreciation for everybody else that's going in?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have my journey in motorsports and feel very fortunate to have raced so much. And this is my 3rd time at this event, and the storytelling that takes place really helps me understand and respect different areas of the country, different forms of motorsport, and just the common love that we all have for this industry. And the storytelling is absolutely priceless and multidimensional for me. I just went through this great honor, as you pointed out, in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, but it's certainly just in that NASCAR lane. And to hear the many stories here with all the inductees, it's just incredible.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, our next question will go to Jonathan Feld. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Thank you, Amanda. Jonathan Feld, Racing Experts. Congratulations on the induction, Jimmie. I got to ask you, coming up, you're going to get back behind the wheel, pickup car. How excited are you just with how fast the Toyotas have been so far?
Yeah, super excited. Texas has been a great track for me over the years. Our team has made substantial steps forward. We still have a long way to go, but we've had a very exciting start to the 24 season, and running, I guess, 9 in total this year gives me many more reps. And a lot of those 9 events will be on 1.5-mile tracks. And so I would assume and hope that Towards the end of my events and all the 1.5 mile that I'll run, I'll be much more competitive, understand this car. I have very limited experience in this next gen car, and certainly very little experience in a Toyota. So I just feel like Texas is going to really be the start of this stretch that I have high expectations for myself.
Any specific expectations finish wise?
I know what the dream is. The dream is to go back to victory lane and get my 84th win. I don't have a good sense of real expectations at this point. Daytona felt great. Our cars are right in the mix, but I don't have a good sense for the other style of tracks yet.
All right, our next question will go to David Hoffman, and then we'll go to Bob Pockris. Go ahead, David, with your question.
Too bad. Thanks for taking the time, Jimmie. Congratulations. You've had the unique opportunity to go through this Hall of Fame process not once but twice in the last 3 months. Just what's been some of your favorite moments thus far? Obviously, tonight's going to be a big moment as well. Just going through this whole process, twice.
It's really reflecting back. Throughout my career, I was so focused on the next race, the next season. And also, I think many racers perform better by not reflecting on the good or bad that's really happened. It's just eyes forward and continue to march along. And since I've stopped full-time racing, certainly stopped NASCAR full-time racing, and then have slowed down in 23 some, it's allowing me to reflect, and I'm really enjoying these moments. Going to the NASCAR Hall I knew it was going to be special, but I didn't realize the magnitude of how special it would be. And that has set me up very well for this experience. And I've been very excited for this week and certainly savoring all these moments.
Yeah, final question. Just obviously being inducted alongside Scott Dixon as well. Bruce mentioned a little bit about it. Just having raced with him for a short amount of time, just what were some of your biggest takeaways just with working with him and just seeing him in his element?
His dedication for the sport is quite impressive. Obviously, his skills, but the thing that stands out to me the most is that he still loves it. I mean, he is still, when he giggles and talks about racing, I feel like I see a teenage version of Scott Dixon sitting there, and he still has that gleam in his eye that a teenager does for the sport. So that's probably the thing that stands out to me most. And the other things I mentioned are extremely impressive. He's a 6-time champion, the skill, the passion, all that stuff, but he loves driving race cars.
Thank you, Jimmie.
All right, we'll go to Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Jimmie, being inducted into this Hall of Fame, considering your history in motorcycles, off-road, having done IndyCar, just is it any sort of different kind of feeling going into a Hall of Fame that kind of recognizes all those disciplines?
Yeah, I do believe so. I know that from a speech standpoint, it gives me the flexibility to talk more about the various things that I've raced. And I think the room has a greater understanding and appreciation of the journey and racing in all the different series. There's one element, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this hydroplane boat in the Muncie family. But one of the many forms of racing that I watched when I was a kid was the Thunderboats. I think the APBA Thunderboat series, what it was at least called years ago. But there was a very successful driver named Bill Muncie, who my family was close with. And Bill was tragically killed when I was quite young. But the team continued on. The Muncie family continued on. Bill's son, Ed Muncie, my dad used to take Ed and myself racing motocross all around California and Arizona and Nevada. So we had this great connection with the Muncies. But the inbound driver was a driver named Chip Henhauer. And Chip took over the Atlas Van Lines boat while the family still was racing. And as a kid, we would always go to the San Diego event that would take place, stand in the pits, enjoy, have a great time. But one of the years we were on the opposite side of the racetrack when Bill was still alive, and the boat broke and it coasted to a stop. And they have a picture of my dad setting me up onto the deck of this boat as it broke down right in front of us. And so that picture circulated around probably in 2019, 2020. And behind the scenes, there's been this push to let me drive the boat due to all these connections that exist. And last night when I arrived for the opening ceremonies. I was surprised to see the Muncie family there. I was surprised to see the boat on display, and they called me on stage, and the opportunity to drive the boat is here. It's now. They invited me to come drive the boat, the famed boat that Bill once raced, and obviously an opportunity of a lifetime. So again, to kind of speak to the many different disciplines in the room and the freedom I have and the experience I am having, this is beyond my wildest dreams this weekend or this week.
Pardon me for interrupting, Bob, but if any of our media friends are interested in receiving that picture for a story, just send an email to Amanda or Amy or myself, and we'll look you up.
You could just taken it out on Lake Lloyd.
I don't think it's big enough for this boat and the speed that it runs. It's like a 200-mile-an-hour boat.
Okay, and then I wanted to ask, I don't know how many races last year you came just to observe, and sit on top of a box. But I'm curious, you did that on Sunday. So I'm curious what you saw, what you saw that you felt was different this year from watching the team just with your owner hat on at a race versus last year.
Yeah, last year, when I left for Le Mans, it was really a short period of time that I was at the track, and I went to probably 3 or 4 races and sat on the box. And then, our tragedy happened, and I didn't attend any more races or drive in anymore in 23. So I don't have a fair apples to apples comparison as the team was evolving, but certainly from March of last year to March of this year, to see the growth of our team is quite impressive. I felt like at the start of the race at Phoenix, we had a car capable of winning the race, and Eric was up there battling hard for the lead. We still have some things to iron out. We're a young team in a lot of ways, and the consistency that the big organizations have with speed in their cars, with the performance on pit lane, there's just a lot of layers here that we still have to mature in. And the important thing is to have speed, and we had it all weekend long. And our relationship with Toyota has been, company changing, to say the least, and to put it mildly. And we're very excited to get more reps. I think our first time to a lot of these tracks is going to be such a learning curve for us with our new tools and new equipment. But I would expect in the second half of the season, as we return to these tracks the second time, we should have more natural speed in the cars. Our brand new over-the-wall department will have more reps, and we'll be able to really lock in those consistent pillars that we need to race for wins, make the playoffs, advance rounds in the playoffs.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll take some final questions from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Jimmie, with you getting another Hall of Fame, it reminds me of something that I remember hearing Jeff Gordon talking about, and getting into a Hall of Fame at what he felt like was an early age. And it just felt like it kind of weird for him. And I'm curious, with you being under 50 to being in a Hall of Fames and getting these introductions, what is that like? Because in one sense, you're still a young guy, and quite frankly, you're probably one of the youngest guys in the room now.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I mean, I do feel like younger drivers help draw a bit more attention, help put more eyeballs on the particular ceremony that's taking place. So I think that's helpful, but I do feel like if it was 20 years from now and my opportunity to reflect back on it, it would certainly be, and this isn't in any way, not a respectful way to phrase it, but it would be more meaningful. It means the world right now. I'm absolutely loving this experience, but I think the further you are away from holding a steering wheel, the just deeper reflection that you have, and the greater appreciation one will have for their time behind the wheel. And I'm still holding a wheel. Scott Dixon still is holding a wheel. So we're at the max of what we can experience in this moment. But I do think 20 years from now, the moment would have a bit more weight to it.
And that being said, being a young guy in the room in this sense, in another sense, in the racing world, you're an older guy at this age, which is obviously the irony of it all. How will you look at what you do this year and determining how how much more you'll race, or is it part of that, like you referenced, I think, to Bob's question about, you getting to run gets extra reps for some of the people at the organization as you build it, that, hey, that maybe it's more important for you to run even longer to kind of run that car and get other people reps. How does this year determine whether we're going to see Jimmie Johnson and Cup beyond this season?
Yeah, how there's a few factors that go into it. One, my performance. I want to make sure that I'm in the mix. Not that I have to win races. I'd love to, of course, but I want to make sure I'm in the mix, and the time away, the time it takes to do this, that it's really worth it from that standpoint. The next piece is partners and sponsorship. Obviously, our manufacturer in Toyota, and if it makes sense for them, if it's helping the program. So there's probably 3 or 4 different lanes that need to make sense. This year is a big year for us. I mean, last year I intended to run 5, did 3, I'm doing 9. I'm personally open to probably a 15 race schedule, but that would include sports car and vintage classic car racing plus NASCAR, all of that lumped into one. And so in my mind, I'm kind of looking for that 15 race schedule, marquee events, unique events. I would love to diversify and be back in sports cars in Le Mans or the Rolex 24. I will drive some extreme e-races this year, and I'm really excited for that experience. So it's still fluid at this point, but I'm hopeful to have a great year behind the wheel, and I can set up another fun year in 25.
What is about the Extreme E that enthuses you?
I think there's a lot of factors. Racing internationally is something that I've had limited experience to, but love. The focus for sustainability and gender equality in Extreme E is really special for me, especially being a father of 2 daughters, and to see my girl's excitement to meet Gray Ledbetter, our female driver, and to come to the races and watch her run. So there's a few elements that play into it, and I can't skip over the fact that I grew up on the dirt, and I have not been back on the dirt really since probably 97. So it's been a minute, and to really get back into an off-road vehicle and get off the ground is going to be fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Adam, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Just some notes before Amanda wraps it up. Dustin's spot on. Jimmie and Scott are among our youngest 4-wheel inductees. Motorcycle guys, they hang it up a little bit sooner. But Scott's making history. Just to have something to jab about a little bit. He's our first 4-wheel inductee born in the 80s. He was born in 1980, but we don't have many born in 1975 either. So you guys are, thank you for carrying the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America flag in contemporary competition, and congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.